It is great to be with you today for this first Oak National Academy Assembly. It's wonderful that this academy is growing and exists. In these dark times, it's a place of light and of commitment to the future. And it's a great privilege that the Church of England can be involved, and particularly I'm very grateful for being asked to do this first assembly. My name's Justin Welby. I'm the Archbishop of Canterbury, which, if you don't know, is a sort of, I suppose I'm meant to lead the Church of England and churches around the world. We all have times we remember, and I suspect this year will be one of those times. Lots of you will have sad reasons for remembering this year. People who were ill, people who've died, fear, the lockdown, economic worries, pressure at home, rows and difficulties. There'll be lots of things that you're going through. What do we do with that? For Christians, it's all summed up in a word, hope. It's an overused word. We use hope to mean, you buy a lottery ticket and you hope you'll win. Well, you almost certainly won't, but there's nevertheless a bit of hope. But in the Bible, hope means the certain expectation of something you don't have yet, but you will have in the future because it's been promised by God. Hope is hope of life, hope of purpose, hope of peace, hope of justice, equality, and a good future. And all over the world, people struggle with the most terrible circumstances. Part of my job, because the Church of England is one part of a global church in 165 countries, part of my job is to go and see people in places of great pressure. And I remember a couple of years ago in an area called the Nuba Mountains, meeting a little 7-year-old who had run away from some fighting, been separated from his parents, been picked up by a small group of other people running away, refugees. I sat next to him, couldn't speak his language, he couldn't speak mine, and I prayed for him in English, but I've often pictured him. What hope did that child have, those refugees have? Well, for them, as it happens, they were Christians. They believed that God was with them in the middle of the mess and that God would free them. They were going to get to a refugee camp, a place where the international community and the national government had set up feeding and tents, and not brilliant, but a lot better than being on the road and not being shot at. And there, when I went to a refugee camp a few days later, the first thing they'd done was set up schools under trees in the open. They'd planted for next year, a sign of hope. They were looking to the future. They were planting knowledge in young people and food for the families. And that came out not of physical possibilities, but of spiritual hope. Because human beings aren't just physical, they're spiritual as well. And when we nurture the spirit, we can find that our emotions are healthier, our mental health is better, our physical health is better. We have hope, and hope gives us purpose, and we know that we're loved, and Christians believe we're loved and called by God. One of my heroes is the man on the front of this book, Nelson Mandela. He was imprisoned for 26 years because of a struggle against the oppressive apartheid regime in South Africa at the time. He was in prison from 1964 to 1990, came out and was elected president of the country and reconciled so much of the hatred there. While he was in prison, he remained positive. He was patient. He learnt not to hate, and he always kept going under pressure. Positivity, patience, keeping going under pressure. 3 P's that speak of how we nurture hope. One of the wonderful things he said, which came out of his hope, was, "May your choices reflect your hopes, not your fears." That would be my prayer for you today. Many of you will be going through really tough times at home. Many of you will be having a good time. But for some it'll be really hard. There'll be all kinds of problems. I know what that's like. I've been in that situation. How do you keep up hope? Patience, positivity, and keeping going under pressure. And it's God who gives us the strength, because as Christians we believe that Jesus Christ was crucified on the cross unjustly, but on the third day he rose from the dead. He conquered death because he was both fully human, understood our weaknesses, and fully God, able to overcome the greatest enemy, death. And it's because of him that I have always known hope, even in the worst of times. I'm just going to say a short prayer. You don't have to take part, but if you want to, just under your breath, say Amen at the end. Lord our God, come and be with all of us together in these difficult times. Give us patience, enable us to stay positive, and give us courage to keep going under pressure. And may the choices we make today reflect our hopes, not our fears. Amen. May God bless you today.